Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the July 25th, 2019 Cumberland County Commissioners Workshop meeting. Please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Well, meeting order at 9 a.m. and open up for public comment. Okay, hearing none, seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item 3. We have a couple of employee recognitions, and we'll begin with Commissioner Federico presenting Dan Fry with award for 20 years of service to Cumberland County Children in Need. Dan and Nikki, please come forward.
I'm actually going to go ahead and let Tanya Barnett do this presentation today.
Before you do that, just let me do my spiel, because what you have to say is far more important. We're here to celebrate Gann's 20 years of service with the county. She was hired in June 1999 as caseworker for children and youth and promoted to caseworker supervisor just a couple of months ago. So Gann, congratulations from the Board of Commissioners.
Gann Fry started her CYS journey as an intern in January of 1999 and then graduated from Shippensburg University. She started her career at CYS as a caseworker in May of 1999. Prior to her employment, Gann worked as a youth counselor at the United Methodist Children's Home. While working with Gann over the many years, she has displayed that she's a hard worker. She cares about the children and families that she's working with. She has a wealth of knowledge, and that she has shared with, her wealth of knowledge she's shared with other caseworkers and interns throughout the many years. Prior to becoming a supervisor, Gann was a caseworker that I actually supervised. She was my go-to caseworker. She was always willing to take on a difficult case and give it her all. As her supervisor, I was sure to see Gann in my office eating the chocolate and animal crackers that I had stored for some of the rough days. In addition to her dedication to the children and families of Cumberland County, she is also a devoted mother of 2 and a wife. She enjoys hiking and reading. Gann's philosophy for life is keep moving forward, and I truly believe that she will continue to excel and prosper in her supervisor journey.
She got it all. She got it all.
Slide over.
Everybody on their ball?
Good there, man.
Okay, I'm gonna get a couple pictures of kids on board.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the next employee award, I will call Michelle Sliver. She will be presented with 20 years of service to Cumberland County and victim witnesses. Michelle and Skip, please come forward.
Congratulations. Michelle is also celebrating her 20 years of service with the county. She was hired in 1999 as a senior assistant attorney and promoted in July 2006 as chief deputy district attorney. She resigned for a little while in June of 2010, but was rehired in June of 2011 as part-time law library clerk, and promoted in July of 2012 as senior law clerk, promoted in October 2012 as subdirector of victim witness, and promoted January 1, 2018 as subdirector of district attorney's office. So Michelle, congratulations and thank you for your service.
Well, 20 years, it seems a lot longer.
I give you a hard time.
Realistically, it's just been an incredible asset to our office. Now serving as both the chief administrator of the district attorney's office, which the commissioners know has grown substantially since I first came into office, but also the director of the victim services. which is such an important job in this environment this day. I mean, victims simply have to come first, and Michelle has done an outstanding job of that. So I can't thank you enough. She's also the one behind why we have more women now than men. Congratulations.
Thank you, Michelle.
Take fellow pictures.
Thanks, Michelle. Let's get
Guys,
a word.
all right, thanks.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 4, I'll call on Ron Anderson to discuss the SRO agreement for Raven Springs School District. Ron?
Okay. As everybody's aware, the governor has signed Act 67. Act 67 clarified Act 44, which was school safety. And at that time, sheriffs and deputy sheriffs were not included as part of the definition of a law enforcement agency as an SRO position. Since Act 67 has been signed by the governor, sheriffs, certified sheriffs and deputy sheriffs, in conjunction with approval of the county agreement with the school district, are now allowed to serve as a school resource officer. As you remember, this time, probably last year, we were working on the second school resource officer for the Big Spring School District. And at that time, we couldn't move forward because of Act 44. However, we're ready to move forward and put that second SRO in the Big Spring School District. Today, we have Dr. Roberts from the Big Spring School District, and I'm sorry.
Bill Swanson, board president.
He's a board president with the school board, and he's here to answer any questions. And I believe solicitor is going to have to relate on how we have to move forward with this to make it happen.
I think we're pretty much lined up to proceed anyway. We're just waiting on the state to do their part. If anything different from,
Two things. You have to affirm the execution of the agreement that was signed in August. And then you need to approve the execution of Exhibit B to that agreement.
and that can be done Monday.
Can it be done on Monday, sir?
Sure.
Yeah, we had pretty much, I think, previously adopted a memorandum of understanding, with the understanding that we were waiting for the legislature to fix this in law that prevented deputy sheriffs from serving in the position. So we've been on board. I just wanted to mention, I think, Senator Regan a debt of gratitude, because I know he helped to shepherd this fix through the legislature.
Right.
So in any event, it's a I think a win-win for the school district and Cumberland County as well. So, if you folks have any questions?
Do you folks have any questions or comments? I hate to make you drive a long way out here.
If I may just briefly
Sure.
offer on behalf of the Big Spring School District a thank you to the commissioners, a thank you to Sheriff Anderson, Chief Deputy Smith, and the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office. It's a partnership that has been very productive, not only for the teaching and the learning within the classroom, but also the community has been very, very supportive of the partnership and is excited about the proactive nature of safety that's been instilled in the school district. So thank you to the commissioners, certainly for your patience over the course of the last year as we're able to get things taken care of with Act 44 and the changes there. Again, to the sheriff and the chief deputy for all of their hard work in getting this off the ground for the school district.
Anyone else?
No, just to clarify though, so starting this new school year, there will be 2 deputy sheriffs serving as school resource officers.
That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
Big Spring. Okay. That's good.
Any other questions?
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to agenda item 5, contracts and grants. Joe?
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. We'll begin with item number 5, Roman numeral 1, existing contracts, contract extensions, or addenda with no additional cost or increase to the county. We have the following agreements for aging and community services, children and youth, drug and alcohol agreements, and NHIDD agreements. Are there any questions on the existing? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the new contracts, vendors, services, grants, and contracts with increases or decreases to the county. I'll begin by calling on Joan Proud to discuss the contracts for aging and community services. Joan?
Good morning. This morning I have three. The first one is for the Center for Independent Living. Again, it's just an increase of $200 from last year's contract. The second one is for Virginia Monstead. Her contract is being renewed with an increase of $1.50 per hour for the new contract period. And the last one is a grant for the state food purchase program. We're renewing the grant, and unfortunately I didn't write the dollar amount down, but I understand you have that in front of you, hopefully.
Yeah, 198,000 and change.
Yes. And that's all I have this morning.
Any questions for Jeff?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay. Next up, I'll call Jamie Reaver to discuss the contracts for children and youth. Jamie?
Morning, Commissioners. First contract I had was for Infinity Forensic Services. They are actually jumping quite significantly in their rate, 20% almost for two of them and 52% for another one. They're a very specialized service that deals with specific clients who have sexualized behaviors, but is still allowing them to be in a foster home setting versus in congregate care. They're still within the state maximum allowable as well. Bethany Christian Services is a new provider that we're going to contract with this year. It's just an opportunity for us to grow our foster home field, and they're located more in the Lancaster area. Again, they're comparable to our other foster homes and within the state maximum allowable. And then finally, we have Concern. Their foster care rates are all staying the same, but their treatment unit for boys is increasing 1.5% for this fiscal year.
Are there any questions for Jamie?
Jamie, I'm sorry, our documents were out of order. If you go back to the one you said there was a big increase.
So they're increasing, they actually are, they have a program that runs for 45 days for a or a risk assessment period. And then they move into a specialized placement. Both of those rates have jumped 19%. They actually requested a 10% increase for 18-19, but because their contract wasn't approved by the state until late in the year, we didn't grant that for 18-19, so we combined it with their requested increase for 19-20 as well.
This is Affinity.
Yes, and we do not use them heavily. We actually have 3 kids that have gone through or in the process of going through their program, but it's not a highly used program.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Jamie? Thanks, Jamie. Next, I'll call on Lori Rutledge, who will discuss the American Red Cross agreement, and then we'll move to Melissa Smith, who will be discussing the UPMC health plan agreement for CNRC, and both will be joining us at PTC.
Hi, I'm Lori Rutledge. We would like to start teaching our own American Red Cross CPR class here at Cumberland. Currently, we hire come in. We actually will end up saving money by doing this. So if we do 300 students over a 2-year period, the cost would be $9,000. There is a $30 charge per certification for our licensed staff. Currently, we hire someone to come in, $45 a person, which is $13,500 for the exact amount of time. By doing it ourselves, we actually can also make it more for the staff and make sure that more quick, they able to train our staff, and eventually like to offer it to any captain employee who needs recertification could come here to get their certification for the certification.
Are there any questions?
Any questions?
I'm not sure I follow. We have a document that states American Red Cross Education Service supplies. A new contract total $10,500. And from what I'm hearing, this is to train our employees to do CPR.
It's to keep them certified. Most of our,
Them
when
certified.
a nurse or an orthopedic company already have their CPR, but every 2 years you have to be recertified. The initial cost of the $10,000 includes the cost to get the new equipment. Once we have it, that's a one time, then we'll always have that equipment. But normally the cost of the class, the actual expense, and if we don't have 300 students, it'll be less. That's the most we're anticipating for the staff coming through at this time.
Lori, I'm still a little
But we would
confused.
be teaching the classes.
It's shown on the paperwork we have that the cost from the previous contract is being reduced by $5,000.
Right.
I'm trying to understand what we had before versus what we're buying new here, or what we're getting new.
Correct. Hi, this is Melissa. What happened before is we had the teacher come in and educate the nurses, and the cost for that was $45 for each student. The $15 went to that person, and the $30 was for the CPR certification. With this contract, our two educators, Corey and Rob, have been certified now in the American Red Cross CPR, and they're able to teach that. So we're saving $15 for each student that runs through the class. Plus, they have to keep setting it up and it's for them and not for the outside vendor. Does that make more sense?
It does now.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Lori on this? No? Okay, Melissa, go.
Okay. I have the UPMC revenue contract. It's the amendment current contract now. This one actually percent Medicaid of it. It's the rate that we expected to see. It's the last work of our rate that we've been experiencing, and it's a pretty standard contract. The expectations of what we have are there. We get paid the rate for 50-day bag holds. We get 1/3 of the rate, which is basically what we're getting right now through this program.
Are there any questions for Melissa? Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you all.
Okay, next I'll call on Vince McCullum, who will be discussing the agreement for the Conservation District. Vince?
Good morning. Currently, the Conservation District has an arrangement with the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission where they pay the Conservation District $100 per disturbed acre for MPDS permit applications that they submit to our office for review and approval. The Turnpike Commission is proposing to increase that to $150 per disturbed acre. That's just, they've been paying us $100 per acre for a few years, and they're just looking to increase that for us.
Are there any questions for Vince?
No.
I think they're good, Vince. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next I'll call on Eric Radovich to discuss the grant for the forensic lab. Eric?
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. What you're approving today is the acceptance of a grant from PCCD. It's a Paul Coverdell Forensic Science Grant, no match. It's for $71,864, and it's for new hoods and air handling systems for the laboratory.
Are there any questions for Eric? That looks good. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Next, Brian Simon will discuss the agreements for drug and alcohol. Brian?
Good morning, Commissioners. The first contract with Addiction Recovery Systems, we're looking to add the outpatient individual and outpatient group rates to that contract. Previously, the rate was bundled with the methadone, and if someone's looking to get off of methadone, we need the outpatient rates to be able to accommodate them so that they can still have the counseling. The next two are inpatient rates. They've been reviewed by their home counties and approved by the counties. Bowling Green Inn Brandywine, detox, they're looking for a $13 a day increase. Their adult short-term rehab, they're looking for a $10 a day increase. Adult long-term rehab, $6 a day increase, and co-occurring, $13 a day increase. If we use them the same as what we did last year, that would be about $350 total increase. Eagleville Hospital, They're looking to increase their non-hospital detox by $12 a day, their non-hospital short-term rehab by $11 a day, and their non-hospital long-term rehab by $9 a day, and their non-hospital co-occurring by $12 a day. Last year we didn't use them. They're sort of a specialized, if someone has medical issues and they need drug and alcohol treatment, then we would send them there. Any questions?
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, call on Beth Chernak to discuss the agreements for ERP. Beth?
Good morning. The contract before you is for our tax software that works in conjunction with Lawson. It helps calculate the payroll taxes every time payroll is run. It's an annual maintenance contract. This year, the amount is $6,431, which is a 3.3% increase from last year.
Are there any questions for Beth? Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Next, Tammy Bender will discuss the agreement for finance department. Tammy?
Huggins Actuarial Services, they perform our actuarial analysis on our self-insured workers' compensation fund. The contract is for $4,837, which is an increase of $132 over last year.
Are there any questions for Tammy?
No.
Good, thank you, Tammy. Okay, next I'll be calling on Robin Tolan to discuss the agreements for LPD. Robin?
Good morning. So there's several. The early intervention ones for My Therapy Tree LLC and TME Developmental Therapy and Infant Massage are both increases on the contracts from 18-19 based on the services that were provided through early intervention in their Pelican database system. Then the other two increases on 18-19 contracts were for Alma Health LLC and Goodwill Keystone Area Incorporated for services for our intellectual and developmental disabilities programs. Any questions with those increased ones before I go on to the mental health? Okay. So the mental health contracts are for this current fiscal year 1920, and there are several there: Keystone Services, Living Unlimited, New Visions, Pennsylvania Counseling, and York County Transportation. Those are all renewal contracts for mental health. Some have some increases based on last year's costs and expenses, and a couple have some decreases based on utilization or decreased utilization in those cases.
Are there any questions for Robin?
Robin, so these are, new amounts are based on projections to a large extent?
For the mental health, 1920?
Yeah.
Yes. Those are based on the increases or the decreases are based on looking at last year's utilization and expenses.
Right.
And then projecting what we
So,
do.
you know, depending on utilization, it might be a little lower or maybe even higher.
It depends, yeah. Typically, we wouldn't go higher than the contract because we do know that that is the
Well, you
limit.
have to come back to us, right?
Yes.
All right.
It does that.
All right, good. Thank you.
Is there any other questions for Robin? Thank you, Robin. Next, I'll call on Kirk to discuss the agreements for the planning department. But Kirk will also be discussing agenda item 11. Kirk?
Oh, okay. Commissioners, first item here is to extend the expiration date for our engineering services agreement with HRG for Wolf Bridge. Just administrative or engineering agreement. Just due to run out, we're going to extend that through 2021 to make sure we don't have to do that again. So project's still moving ahead, progressing for hopefully a let later this year. We're waiting on the feds and PennDOT to come up with a new reimbursement agreement. All of our work's complete. The second one there, liquid fuels. As we met, I think at the last finance meeting, we laid out a strategy of borrowing for our bridge capital improvement program. We need to engage McNeese, Wallace, and Nurek to provide some legal assistance along the Pennsylvania infrastructure bank loan. Okay. Also related to the Pennsylvania infrastructure bank.
Let me just ask, because, you know, so we need a lawyer for this, right?
Sure.
Yeah, there's the DCED filings that are.
Nothing against you, Keith.
Nothing. I'll tell you.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
There's DCD filings and an opinion letter from a lawyer that we're required to do before that closing.
So this is a kind of specialized service? that-
Bond counsel typically does that.
Okay.
A bond type counsel.
Okay. But this is not, we're not talking about bond issue here, right?
No.
This is through the infrastructure loan bank, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm not happy about it either, Jim, but we have to.
We need it, we need it.
And the fees are not nearly what they are for a bond issue either.
Good.
Question, someone related to the Creek Bridge, when is it scheduled to start?
Yeah, so, it's actually Wolf's Bridge, Wolf Creek is,
Wolf Bridge,
yeah, exactly. So Wolf Bridge, we're looking to let that, I mean, our goal internally was to let it in August, but we have this issue now with a reimbursement agreement that unbeknownst to PennDOT had expired. So now they're trying to figure out how to do that in a way that if we did a new reimbursement agreement, we're looking at 3 or 4 months to run it through the federal and state approval process. So we're trying to suggest a memorandum of understanding where we could just edit and tack on the extra construction dollars that we need and keep the project moving. So, as I said, all of our designs in, right-of-ways cleared, utilities are clear, we're ready to go. It's waiting on this reimbursement agreement so that we're able to let the project.
So this will have state and federal funding?
It's actually going to be 100% federal. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's no local share, which is another complication then of, you know, the new reimbursement agreement for construction.
Thank you.
Item number 11, I guess we're doing that too, Flo?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's kind of tied in with your.
Okay, sounds good. Item number 11 then, related to the PIB loan, it would be permission for me to act as the agent for the county to sign the grant. It's an online application to be able to sign the grant.
Are there any other questions for Kurt? Thanks, Kurt. And next, I'll call on Rebecca Finke to discuss the grants for the prison. Rebecca?
Morning. We received the award letter for the 2-year no-match grant to continue the Vivitrol program at the jail. Each year, approximately $100,000 goes to pay salary, benefits, mileage, and operating expenses for 2 raised recovery specialists. They supply recovery services, education about Vivitrol, transportation to receive the injections for participants, and approximately $150,000 each year goes to cover the cost of the injections and related equipment that's necessary.
Are there any questions for Rebecca?
Not on this, I mean, it's looking at almost $500,000 in this grant. My question has to do, and I brought this up, I think, at the prison board in one other meeting recently, but are we tracking, you know, the inmates that are become eligible and participate in the Vivitrol program? Are we tracking them to determine the success of the program?
Yeah, and it's also required for the grant that we track recidivism in different categories, whether they return on a technical parole violation or commit a new crime. We track overdoses, et cetera.
I guess one of the things I think that's important about, you know, a lot of these programs that we're doing is we want to make sure that, okay, are they working? You know, is the person free of drugs, you know, after a certain period of time? And, you know, hopefully that's the case, you know, for a lot of these things. But I think it's important in terms of whether it's the Commonwealth investment or our investment to track these programs to make sure that they're working and ultimately result in, you know, somebody becoming a productive citizen again.
You know, we have data that shows that our participants who have at least 4 injections do much better in the long run than those who maybe only have 1 or 2 and then stop. We have allowed people who have stopped the program come back to jail to re-enter it, and we've had some additional success in the second go-round with people. But if you would like, every time I do a quarterly report for PCCD, I could just provide a copy of that to you.
I think that would be helpful.
Any other questions for Rebecca? Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Wow. Next, we'll move on to agenda item 6, and I'll call on Sergeant Garner, who will be joining us, ATC, to discuss the 2 donations for the Sarah Summit. Hi, Claudia.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Public Safety is asking the Board of Commissioners approval to receive 2 sponsorships from local agencies in which the LEPC committee has established partnerships with. And the first is Zenith Energy. They are from Mechanicsburg, a bronze sponsor for $250. And the second is Vitro Flat Glass in Carlisle for $500 as a silver sponsor. The sponsorship money, of course, will be used for the annual Sarah Summit that is held in October. And just to speed in comparison to last year, this will bring us to 14 sponsorships so far. Last year we had 16. There are 3 more partnerships in the making, so hopefully we will surpass last year's. And as far as expenses, there will be additional expenses compared to last year because there will be more attendees. There was approximately 140 some last year. They're anticipating 200 attendees this year. All of the guest speakers last year donated their time, and this year there will be 1 compensated speaker. So there will be a few extra expenses, so the additional revenue that's coming in will help to offset that. So it should be, we're crossing our fingers, but 100% funded by sponsorship money again this year.
Any questions for Claudia? Thank you so much, Claudia. Have a good day.
Have a good, thank you, you too.
Bye-bye. Okay. So the next 3 agenda items will be discussed by Holly Sherman, and an overview of those. Agenda item 7 is to discuss advertising an RFP for property and liability insurance brokerage services. Agenda item 8 is discussion of letters required for ICMA for the deferred compensation plan, and agenda item 9 is discussion of delegation of signatory authority. Holly?
Good morning, Commissioners. The first item came up as a result of the renewal for the county's property and liability insurance for July 1st. Last I could find that this was gone out to market or for bid was the early 2000s. So I worked with our solicitor to refine and review that last request for proposal. So we are requesting the approval to advertise for property and liability brokerage services for both the county and Claremont Nursing for services begin January 1. Any questions on that? Okay. Next, we have 2 items for signature for the 457B. As we continue to go through the transition from Valley and Nationwide to ICMA RC, we have our biweekly calls, and a number of items are coming up for signature. The first item that is for signature is the letter authorizing the development or the opening of an administrative allowance account. Currently, the investment funds that we've selected are not revenue sharing, but ICMA's process is to go ahead and get the authorization to open this account. Should in the future we switch to revenue sharing based type of investment, so this account is there and established. At this point in time, there's no need for the account, but it's part of the transition process that we move forward with opening the account should it be needed. And then the next letter is allowing ICMA to pay Marquette on the county's behalf for their fiduciary services. So the county won't pay Marquette directly. It'll be ICMA that pays on our behalf, and this letter allows them to do that. Any questions? And then the last item is an updated delegation of signatory authority for the State Civil Service Commission that has to be signed by Commissioner DiFilippo, giving Director of Aging Community Services, Sandy Guerrieri, the authority to sign letters as the county's designee.
Any questions for Holly? Thank you, Holly.
Thank you.
Next, move on to agenda item 10, and I'll call on Sandy Guerrieri to discuss the discontinuation of service coordination letter for aging community services. Sandy?
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. As the letter states, we are required to notify the Office of Long-Term Living, Department of Human Services of our intent to discontinue providing service coordination by the end of this year. It is also noted in there we are discontinuing home delivered meals. We're providing to consumers right now home delivered meals, and NHT, which will become part of the managed care organization's administrative function too.
Any questions for Sandy? Thank you so much, Sandy. Agenda item 11 was already discussed by Kerr. Agenda item 12 is discussion of letters of support, and I'll call Flo to provide discussion related to that. Flo?
Okay, Commissioners, you have before you 2 letters of support, both for Hamden Township for their multimodal CFA grant that would cover roadway improvements, just basic surfacing, relining, that type of thing, underground utilities. And the second is for Silver Spring Township multimodal CFA grant. They're going to do some improvements to the intersection of Silver Spring Road and Woods Drive. This is both for the CFA grant round, which is due to be at the Secretary's desk for the 31st of July. Are there any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Commissioner's liaison report, and we'll begin with Commissioner DeFilippo.
Thanks. I have 2. First one is library board. At the last meeting, there was an auditor there that went over the 2018 financials, and audit found no items of interest. I believe we got an unqualified opinion on the audit, which is the best you can get. Some other highlights: information technology staff performed an upgrade to Encore 4.9, the online public catalog software. The server room was moved to the new location. All equipment was moved from Rickner Highway campus to the Bent Creek office, and everything was set up on July 1. The state budget, when it was adopted, included a $5 million increase for public libraries, and this is the first notable increase in 12 years. And so this is good news. Jerry Counterman successfully led the County Library System Foundation, becoming an approved recipient of school year STEM contributions. STEM means science, technology, engineering, and math. From approved corporations as part of Commonwealth's Educational Improvement Tax Credit Program. This funding is for free programs and activities designed to foster critical thinking, collaboration, and group communication. Cumberland County Library System also has been approved for $72,000 in E-rate funding for the fiscal year 2019, thanks to the work of our group there. And that is it for the library board. I also attended the latest local emergency planning commission meeting, which was on July 11th. Since the previous meeting, there have been 4 hazmat incidents. 2 of those were for tech assistance. 3 team members responded to each event. And there was also a VIP standby for when Vice President Pence was in town a few weeks ago. And so far this year, we have spent 107.7 man hours for incident response time. As far as training goes, so far this year, our folks have received a total of 653 hours of training. More news, the federal government has set new standards for NIMS typing for hazmat response teams in PA. Pennsylvania is adopting these same standards. The goal is apparently to reduce the required minimum number of team members needed for certification. A few other things here. Sarah Summit, scheduled for October 10th. The theme this year will be safety through awareness. And as Claudia had mentioned, we have a good lineup of presenters. Presenters will come from Pima, Millersburg University, Carlisle Police Department, EPA, PA Labor and Industry, and Homeland Security. Okay, one other additional comment. This deals with firefighting foam. I don't know if you've ever seen that, incidents and so forth. But this stuff is apparently very detrimental to the environment. So we are looking at basically, the firefighters in the area are looking at an alternative, which is called green foam, which is far more friendly to the environment. But as you can imagine, it takes a lot more of it to do the job, and it is more expensive. So we'll have more on that later. That's all I have, Steve.
Thank you, Commissioner Dean.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Hartzell.
Hey, thanks, Sandy. The Capital Region Council of Governments met Monday evening, July 15th. Not an awful lot to report, but the COG auction, I presume, was held July 17th. We haven't had an update on that, but there were 22 municipalities and 3 school districts that were planning to participate, which I think is close to a record number of participants. I reported on our county's adoption of our resolution urging the PUC to require hazardous liquid pipeline companies to conduct periodic outreach and awareness meetings with the public. And I asked for the support of CapCog and the CapCog member municipalities in considering the adoption of similar resolutions. Members present were going to take the information back to their municipalities, and CapCog was looking to take action through its executive committee before the PUC's August 27 cutoff for public comment. CapCog, as it usually does, cancels its August meeting, so it's going to have to be reported back to the executive committee for the individual municipalities, and so we'll wait to see what happens there. But CapCog's annual picnic is scheduled for September 16th, so the next business meeting of the Capital Region Council of Governments will be in October. I also relayed information to CapCog delegates about the status of the capital area transit, and are at the time pending transit forum, and offered invitations to the CapCog delegates to attend if they were interested. And also I reported on the success of our electronics recycling program here in Cumberland County, collecting nearly 800,000 pounds of electronics in just the first 2 years of its operation. And I also reported on our action to move forward with a state mandate on the purchase of new voting equipment. The county's Affordable Housing Trust Fund board met on Tuesday, July 16. It was reported that the Collaborative Affordable Housing Study through the Housing and Redevelopment Authority, our Planning Department, and the Greater Harrisburg Association of Realtors that's being conducted by Shippensburg University should be completed in about a month before the start of the new school year. I think we're all looking forward to taking a look at that. And the county, meanwhile, is in line to receive a $400,000 Pennsylvania Housing Affordability and Rehabilitation Enhancement Fund, or FAR grant, to bolster our county's efforts for housing rehabilitation and blight remediation. The county's first-time home buyers assistance program, meanwhile, has so far this year helped 20 families with closing costs and down payment assistance of up to $5,000 to purchase their first home. Since the inception of that program 21 years ago, over $2.5 million in assistance has been provided to help 722 income-eligible young Cumberland County families purchase their first home. The Housing and Redevelopment Authority boards met Thursday, July 18th. Since it's the start of a new fiscal year, both authority boards re-elected their officers. The authority boards voted to renew their annual administrative agreement with the county, which I assume will be coming up for our renewal approval as well. The Housing Choice Voucher Program is running up against its expenditure limit for the year as authorized by the Federal Housing and Urban Development Administration. Leasing up units in receipt of the assistance are about 100 below the targeted number of 1,331, and I assume that is in part because rents continue to go up, and as a result, rent subsidies are also on the rise, meaning a lower number of participants. As I've indicated before, from my perspective, in addition to public transportation, transportation in general, traffic congestion, housing, and especially affordable housing, whether that be in the form of homes, apartments, is one of the biggest challenges our county, as the fastest growing county in the state, is facing now and into the future. So we're all looking forward to that study. That's hopefully going to be reported out of Shippensburg University real soon. And I'm hoping that it will lead to a robust effort among all stakeholders in how we begin to address the housing needs of the citizens of our county and those who are looking to locate here. Along these lines, it was reported at both the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board meeting and the Housing and Redevelopment Authority Board meeting that Monarch Development has received an award of affordable housing tax credit financing for the development of a 39-unit multi-family housing project in Hampton Township. My understanding is the location of this project, to be known as Point and Sporting Hill, is located along Sporting Hill Road, near where the new township building is being constructed. This low-income housing tax credit financing is the only project in Cumberland County to win a tax credit financing award from the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Authority this year. I wasn't able to attend it, but the Cumberland County Conservation District Board met on Tuesday evening, and Carl Goshorn did send me along some information. Pre-side dress nitrogen tests have been completed on cornfields throughout the county, and the intent of these tests is to make sure that farmers are using more nitrogen than necessary to fertilize their fields. And 2 interns completed the tests. One was from Shippensburg University, the other one is attending Bloomsburg University. The 137 fields and 3,400 acres corn fields tested were the highest numbers ever completed by interns, and they did this over a period of just 4 weeks. And I have more information on that if anybody's interested. But it appears as though 38% of the cornfields that were tested this year ended up needing additional nitrogen. So I don't know what caused that, whether it was the hot weather or other circumstances, I'm not sure. Recently there was also the annual conference of Pennsylvania Association of Conservation Districts. And Bob and Barbara Kiefer of Shippensburg were one of 5 farms in Pennsylvania that were recognized as Chesapeake Bay Program Clean Water Farm Award winners for their conservation work and commitment to soil and water conservation. And in addition to that, our own Carl Goshorn was awarded the Conservation District Employee Excellence Award of the year. And if you folks might recall, it was Wilbur Wolf who had approached me, our departed friend, and asked me if the commissioners could nominate Carl. And so we did, and Carl won the award. And he was completely surprised because he showed up at the conference and received this award. So I sent to Samantha a nice photograph of the award and so forth, so I thought maybe we could get this out in our own press release as well. Finally, I just want to say that I was thrilled to be joined by my commissioner colleague, Commissioner DiFilippo, last Thursday afternoon. I know Gary was taking care of the household hazards, waste recycling efforts, so we couldn't make it, but Vince and I showed up at the Mechanicsburg High Schools. We gave out dozens of medals to 15 and better participants at this year's Office of Aging Senior Games competition. And our thanks go out to the borough, the school district, and to both the staff of Messiah Lifeways and our Office of Aging, who helped to organize and sponsor that event. Despite the heat, with most of the events taking place indoors this year, everybody had a great time, good turnout, great camaraderie, and fun having it all. And I know I lured Commissioner DiFilippo to the event by the promise of ice cream, and I still owe him. So, I know maybe you guys will have an ice cream eating contest in your on the horizon. But in any event, that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you.
For that moment.
Again, question. The Catcock picnic, where is that going to be?
The same place it has been before. It's a Sunset golf course over there.
Middletown.
You know where it is?
Yeah,
You're back.
It's moved around.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where it's going to be.
Okay.
This year.
Okay. That's
But
great.
we should. I saw an invite. I'll make sure you guys get it. You know.
Thank you, Commissioner Whistler.
Yep.
Commissioner Arthur.
Okay, handful of things here. As Jim mentioned, the household hazardous waste event was the 18th last week, and Justin sent me a summary here of the results. I was in attendance for the tail end of it, a couple hours at the end of the day, and it was very, very, shall we say, warm.
That new flag.
That new flag time. But I gotta say, the crew was right there, really joining the spot. It was a smooth operation. It was impressive to watch. Kudos to you and your folks, and Justin in particular. I know you already given him a shout out, but that needs to be said here, among others, that it was an exceedingly well planned event, particularly for a first stab at that type of format. So I think it was well received. The results kind of speak for themselves. 32,867 pounds total collected. Of that 32,800, 25.376 was paint. So yeah, that's amazing. It's all that's out there. That used to get poured down a hole in the backyard for a lot of people. So it's definitely a valuable service. 44% survey response. Judd's going to be here for the workshop August 8th, and he'll give us a more detailed look at that and opportunity to ask questions. So the next one's scheduled for the 17th of August. That one's going to be 9 to 3. So
Was it
hours
here?
in the morning.
17th.
Yeah, the 17th, Saturday the 17th.
October.
August. And it'll be 9 to 3. And there'll be two.
That's another one.
What's that?
Are we having another one after August?
Yeah, there's one in September, isn't there?
I don't recall the exact date yet.
Okay.
Third week of September, Thursday.
I've got some stuff I'm gonna get rid of. It's in my garage, so I bet.
I'm sure.
They're
I'm sure we
discounts.
have another record day.
They're discounts, okay? Just so you know.
I know. Hey, what is it, 30 cents a pound or something?
Yeah. Had some
Whatever.
discussion.
I'll bet.
So yeah, there are 224 people already signed up for the next one. Means 64 spots left. So get your
So I gotta
reservation.
get my
Get your reservation and no special treatment. Okay. So moving over to the electronic side. Speaking of, as you mentioned, Jim, we passed the 800,000 pound mark on July 17th. The judge has promised to calculate for me the percentage that Commissioner Hertzler's old television represents. Let's just say we considered it volume discount. However, it wrecked the budget for the recycling center. So
$24.
805,438 pounds as of yesterday. So we
Well, so we surpassed 800,000.
805,438, and that's for a total of 8,736 customers, the equivalent of 39 tractor trailer loads. So obviously there's a market for this service. June and July have been very good months, almost 3,000 pounds per day each month. Judd says he estimates they'll have collected over 6,200 tube-type TVs, try saying that. Tube-type TVs, and over 2,100 flat panel TVs to date. Now, I always thought that flat panels were supposed to last 20 years or something as well. I don't know, that kind of baffles me. But obviously, there's clearly a market for this, and we're going gangbusters with this. So again, kudos to the staff for having put this together and been out there on some hot days too. That July 18th was brutal. When I was out there in the department, you guys, no wonder your tails were dragging. They did a fine job. I just can't say that. And as I mentioned, Joe's going to provide us a summary. So again, very good news there, and we'll see Justin on August 8th and get him to tell us the secret of success. So maybe we can replicate that in some other places too. On planning, there's no planning commission meeting for August, correct?
There will be one for August, yes.
Yes, I'm in July. Okay, there's no July meeting to report on, so we do have one for August. And let's see, the FEMA maps, as you reported to us, I believe yesterday, we're back on track with the idea of a meeting. Public meeting will now be so we don't have any need for this letter, we were going to say.
No, I talked to FEMA yesterday, they said like November or December, and then, that's good, that's better than no meeting.
That's still pretty far away, but let's keep checking to make sure they don't change them.
Right, I was gonna say the same thing.
So
did you tell them we were going to be contacting our federal officials?
I mentioned that it was one of the commissioners' public meeting coming up, and then they knew that it was going to be discussed publicly, and so I think they read between the lines. They thought it was a good thing to do.
Yeah, I think it's smart. I think they're obligated to.
5 years, hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on the project, and we can't do one public meeting at the end. Man, it doesn't make sense.
I also wrote down bridges. I can't remember why I wrote down bridges. Maybe you already covered that. All right. So, and just in brief, let's see. We're going to get 2 other items that we have to move on here. The EDC meeting, of course, the July meeting. We had executive committee Thursday. Today's Thursday, Tuesday, and we had some discussion on a number of things. That I think the only thing that I wanted to bring to your attention was the draft of the new. We've had some discussion, as you know, on how we want to formalize some of the board roles and such, and we have a draft document on things that we would provide to prospective board members to give them a better feel for how they can best serve the organization and vice versa. And there was a considerable amount of debate on the content of that. So I have a new draft of that. I'm going to share that with you guys. Obviously, we're the members of the corporation, constituted 3 important votes on that board as well. So I'd like to get your input on that. I'll be circulating that to you as soon as the revised one I think is coming today. The draft one, I'll give you the latest version, but I'd love to associate on those documents. We had some discussion too about the upcoming strategic planning. We're 4 years into the current plan, and with Jamie on board now, we want to really promote that as a high priority to get a new revised edition of the strategic plan under our belts. It's going to take a little time. Plans underway for that. I'm going to work closely with Jamie on that, and you'll be hearing more about that. We got a copy of the staff report that you all see in preparation for the formal board meeting, which of course we're not having, and it's pretty extensive. So I'm just going to circulate it to you guys, and I'll point out anything in particular. There's a good deal of content on there. So anything you have questions on or whatever, you'll get. Since there's obviously no board packet circulated, it would be another month till you get it. So I'm just going to go forward to use it as you see fit. On the, let's see if I can find this real quick. I'll tell you what now. Some MHIED stuff, nothing particularly urgent, so I'll bet I'll just revisit that next opportunity. So I'll call it there.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Woodruff. Agenda item 14, I would like to report that the following executive session was held on the following days in 2019. Monday, July 15th at 10 a.m. and July 22nd at 2 p.m. regarding personnel issues. I would like to request an executive session be held directly after this meeting regarding negotiations and personnel issues. Is there any other business that needs to
I just want to say, I think we would be remiss if we didn't take a second just to thank all of the staff who was involved in the planning and organization of the, I think, very successful transit summit that we had here across the street this week at the Comfort Suites. You know, I think there was some good dialogue, and we had some interesting input from some of the participants, but you know, hopefully it can lead to essentially a decision process that moves us forward in terms of trying to develop and provide better public transportation options for both our citizens and our employers. So anyway, thank you to everybody who was involved in that. I know Kirk and Samantha and Flo.
And Jen.
Yes, thank you.
Very good stuff.
And I wanted to add to that we will be sending thank you letters out to all the speakers that were in attendance. So we're getting that together. Okay, is there any other business?